Our today's video starts with the story of a well-regarded high school nestled in a bustling community. There was a bright and ambitious student named Zoe. Zoe was passionate about science and dreamed of becoming an engineer, often spending her free time working on projects and experiments. However, her enthusiasm for learning was challenged by an encounter with Mr. Harrison, a new science teacher with a reputation for being stern and, at times, unfairly critical. Mr. Harrison took an instant dislike to Zoe, often singling her out in class, criticizing her questions as irrelevant, and marking her work more harshly than her peers. Zoe, feeling targeted and humiliated, saw her confidence and grades begin to slip. Despite her efforts to seek clarification and improve, Mr. Harrison's behavior only escalated, leaving Zoe feeling helpless and isolated. Determined not to let this situation defeat her, Zoe decided to take action. She started by documenting every instance of Mr. Harrison's unfair treatment, keeping a detailed diary of comments, grades, and comparisons with her classmates' work. Zoe also reached out to her classmates, discovering that she wasn't the only one who felt mistreated. Together, they compiled their experiences and evidence, forming a collective case to present to the school administration. In the meantime, Zoe sought the support of another teacher, Mrs. Lin, who had always encouraged her love for science. Mrs. Lin offered Zoe not only emotional support, but also academic guidance, helping her to regain her confidence and excel in her studies, despite the challenges. With Mrs. Lin's encouragement, Zoe and her classmates presented their case to the school's administration, including the evidence they had collected. The administration took the complaint seriously and initiated a thorough investigation. As the investigation unfolded, it became clear that Mr. Harrison's behavior was part of a pattern of demeaning and unfair treatment towards several students, not just Zoe. Faced with undeniable evidence, the school administration took decisive action. Mr. Harrison was subjected to disciplinary measures, including mandatory sensitivity and teaching effectiveness training. Furthermore, the school implemented a new system for students to provide anonymous feedback on their teachers, ensuring that any future issues could be addressed promptly and without fear of retribution. Empowered by their success in standing up to unfair treatment, Zoe and her classmates felt a renewed sense of confidence and camaraderie. Zoe's grades and enthusiasm for science soared once again, and she became a leading member of the school's science club, eventually leading her team to win a prestigious regional science competition. Mr. Harrison, on the other hand, faced a significant turning point in his career. The experience forced him to reflect on his teaching methods and attitude toward students. Over time, he recognized the importance of constructive feedback and encouragement, gradually becoming a more supportive and respected teacher. Zoe's revenge was not about retaliation, but about seeking justice and fostering a positive change in her learning environment. Her courage to speak out transformed a difficult experience into an opportunity for growth, not only for herself and her classmates, but also for Mr. Harrison. Zoe's story became an inspiration within the school, reminding everyone of the power of resilience, the importance of fair treatment, and the impact one student can have on creating a more supportive educational community. In the next story, there lived a kind-hearted boy named Liam. Liam was known for his gentle nature and willingness to help others, making him well-liked among his peers. However, his kindness also made him a target for a local gang led by a notorious boy named Derek. Derek and his gang took pleasure in bullying those they considered weaker, and unfortunately, Liam became their frequent target. Derek's torment of Liam ranged from verbal taunts to physical confrontations, making Liam's daily life unbearable. Despite the hardship, Liam tried to keep a low profile, avoiding confrontations and seeking peace. However, the continuous bullying began to take a toll on his well-being and studies. One day, after a particularly harsh encounter where Derek embarrassed Liam in front of many of their peers, Liam decided that enough was enough. He realized that responding with violence or direct confrontation was not in his nature, nor would it solve the problem. Instead, Liam sought a different kind of revenge, one that would not only stop the bullying, but also potentially change Durek's perspective. Liam began by documenting every instance of bullying, carefully noting dates, times, and witnesses. He then approached his teachers and the school administration with his evidence. But instead of demanding punishment, Liam requested a meeting with Durek, facilitated by a counselor. During the meeting, Liam calmly and confidently addressed the bullying, expressing the impact it had on his life. He also surprised Durek by asking about his own life, wondering what led him to act the way he did. Durek, initially defensive, gradually opened up about his own struggles at home, which were filled with neglect and pressure to act tough. Liam's empathy and understanding began to break down the barriers between them. He proposed a solution. They would work together on a community project as a way to settle their differences and learn more about each other. Reluctantly, Durek agreed, more out of curiosity than anything else. The project they chose was renovating a local community center that had fallen into disrepair. As they worked side by side, Durek began to see Liam in a new light, not as a target, but as a peer. The physical labor and shared goals fostered a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect between them. Over time, Durek's attitude began to change. He saw the positive impact of their work on the community and how respected Liam was for his kindness and determination. Durek started to question the path he was on, and with Liam's encouragement, began to seek better ways to deal with his own problems. The transformation was slow but remarkable. Durek eventually disbanded his gang, and many of its members, inspired by his change, started to participate in community service, turning their energies towards positive endeavors. Liam's unique approach to revenge, through understanding, empathy, and collaboration, had not only ended the bullying but also transformed a group of tormentors into contributors to their community. Liam and Durek's story became a testament to the power of compassion and the possibility of change, inspiring others in their school and town to resolve conflicts through understanding and cooperation, rather than retaliation and violence. In another story, the storyteller is telling story by himself. In a serene, somewhat rural cabin, my family gathered for a Thanksgiving reunion. I had promised my younger sister, Heather, a ride to the airport on Sunday, since she needed to return to college for crucial classes and tests after the holiday break. Additionally, I agreed to secure the cabin after our parents departed on Saturday due to their urgent work commitments. The Thanksgiving dinner was full of laughter and stories until Heather decided to harshly criticize the rough patch I had been going through. My long-term girlfriend and I had recently split, and the company I worked for had closed down. Heather's comments were cruel, suggesting that no one would want to date or hire someone she labeled a worthless failure loser, insinuating my girlfriend left me for being a failure just like my boss. Her remarks drew immediate disapproval from other family members, yet she refused to apologize. I appeared to let it go, focusing on the fact that I had savings, job prospects. I secured a job soon after with a better salary, and was content being single. However, her hurtful words were unexpected and unjustified. On Sunday morning, I confronted Heather in the kitchen, holding a bottle of Jack Daniels. "Hey Heather," I greeted her, ready to apologize for the harsh things you said. She scoffed, dismissing the idea of apologizing and urging me to hurry to the airport. In response, I poured myself a double shot of whiskey and drank it quickly. Heather panicked, realizing the implications. "What are you doing?" "I need to catch my flight." Acknowledging her urgency with a smile, I poured another shot, hinting that I was too intoxicated to drive. "Looks like you'll need to be nicer before we can leave," I suggested. Heather attempted to find alternative transportation, but quickly realized there were no cabs or Ubers nearby. I was her only way to the airport. "Fuck you," she exclaimed in frustration. I simply grinned and took another shot. Long story short, I pretended to be too drunk to drive, leading to Heather missing her flight and important tests, which affected her GPA significantly. I found the whole situation ironically humorous. Many were surprised by this turn of events, and I received a lot of reactions. To clarify why Heather couldn't drive herself or find another ride, The car was in my name, and I had secured the keys in a keypad, safe with a changed combination. Since it was established that I would be driving her, and we were the last ones at the cabin, she had no other ride options. In the next story, there was a person wondered why people often think you have to always forgive your brothers or sisters, no matter how mean they are to you. They believed that just because someone is family, it doesn't mean they can treat you badly without any consequences. The person talked about their older brother, who loved to make them feel bad just to make himself feel better. The brother always picked on people he thought couldn't stand up to him and treated them poorly. A long time ago, the person had enough of their brother's meanness and stopped talking to him. This was a big deal because the brother kept losing his jobs for being rude to his bosses, while the person was doing well in their career. They could have helped their brother a lot, but they knew he wouldn't have been thankful for it. In the past, even when they tried to be nice and give him gifts, hoping he'd change, he never did. So the person believed that brothers and sisters shouldn't automatically be forgiven for acting badly. They talked about how Heather was very rude and acted like she didn't have to say sorry for the hurtful things she said. They felt it was right to make her understand her mistake. They guessed that Heather would probably make sure she had her own way to get to family gatherings in the future, so she wouldn't be in the same situation again. The person shared a story about their younger brother, explaining how his behavior changes depending on whether he needs something from someone. They mentioned an incident where their husband had to undergo heart surgery, leading to a situation where they needed help with mowing the lawn over the summer because their husband couldn't do it due to the surgery. They have 2 small kids, which makes mowing the lawn by themselves quite challenging. They offered to pay their brother $175 to handle the lawn mowing and trimming for the summer after he bought a new car and couldn't afford the registration tags. Despite this agreement, the brother later asked for an additional $100 to cover expenses for a trip out of town, which they also provided, not expecting to get the money back. This arrangement was supposed to cover 2 months of mowing and trimming once a week, but it turned out that they ended up doing most of the work themselves. The brother would promise to come on a specific day, not show up, and then get upset if they went ahead and mowed the lawn themselves. He also refused to do any trimming, leaving parts of the yard, including areas around the kids' play equipment, overgrown. The person lives in a neighborhood where maintaining the yard is important to avoid fines from the homeowners association. One weekend, when the brother did show up to mow, he missed a spot, and when they pointed it out to him, he reacted angrily, cursing at them. They ended up taking over the mowing, asking him to leave, which led to a confrontation where he tried to physically stop them. They managed to finish the job and lock him out of the garage, after which he left. Despite the brother thinking he was doing them a favor, they felt let down, especially since they had paid him in advance and even provided food and drinks while he worked. The person concluded that they would no longer ask their brother for help with anything in the future, expressing a firm decision to avoid any further assistance or financial support for him. This was not the first time they had issues with their brother, but it was the last straw for them. In another story, there lived a young boy named Jason who observed his Uncle Rick's reckless lifestyle with a mix of curiosity and dismay. Uncle Rick, much like the Uncle Dickhead, in a story Jason's parents often warned him about, was the epitome of irresponsibility and entitlement, relying on others to clean up his messes while contributing little to nothing himself. Jason's parents used Uncle Rick as a cautionary tale to teach him and his siblings the value of responsibility, hard work, and the consequences of a life lived without regard for others. They hoped to instill in their children a sense of duty and ambition, unlike Uncle Rick's parasitic existence. As Jason grew older, he became increasingly aware of the strain Uncle Rick's behavior put on the family. The final straw came when Uncle Rick, in a typical display of thoughtlessness, ruined Jason's younger sister's birthday party by showing up intoxicated and causing a scene. The disappointment in his sister's eyes was something Jason couldn't forgive or forget. Motivated by a desire to protect his family and prove Uncle Rick's lifestyle choices wrong, Jason decided on a plan of revenge, not through petty acts of retaliation, but by living a life diametrically opposed to Uncle Rick's. Jason dedicated himself to his studies, worked part-time jobs to contribute to the household, and volunteered in the community, earning him the respect and admiration of those around him. Years passed, and Jason's efforts paid off. He was awarded a scholarship to a prestigious university, where he excelled academically and socially, eventually graduating with honors. Upon returning to his neighborhood, Jason became a beacon of hope and a role model for the younger kids, showing them that hard work and integrity lead to success. At a family gathering, with the entire family present including Uncle Rick, Jason's achievements were celebrated. In his speech, Jason thanked his parents for their guidance and indirectly addressed Uncle Rick, highlighting the importance of making positive life choices and contributing to society. Uncle Rick, witnessing the respect Jason commanded and the stark contrast between their lives, felt a profound sense of regret and shame for the first time. He realized the impact of his actions on his family and the opportunities he squandered through his selfishness. Jason's revenge was a testament to the power of positive action over negative circumstances. He not only rose above the example set by Uncle Rick, but also transformed it into a driving force for his own success, ultimately teaching Uncle Rick a lesson in humility and the true value of a life well lived. Through his actions, Jason demonstrated that the best revenge is not to replicate the behavior that harmed you, but to become someone that behavior could never touch. In a bustling city filled with untold stories, there lived a young delivery boy named Marco. Marco was known for his dedication and punctuality, traits that made him popular among his clients. However, his life took a complicated turn when he developed an illicit relationship with a married woman named Alina. Alina, feeling neglected in her marriage, sought solace in Marco's company, and what started as a harmless friendship quickly escalated into a secret affair. Alina's husband, Thomas, was a respected businessman, often too engrossed in his work to notice the changes in his wife's behavior. However, rumors of the affair eventually reached him, igniting a fire of betrayal and anger. Instead of confronting the situation head-on, Thomas decided to plot a subtle yet impactful revenge against Marco, aiming to teach him a lesson about the consequences of meddling in another's marriage. Thomas began by closely observing Marco's routines and interactions, looking for any opportunity to set his plan into motion. He noticed that Marco took great pride in his reputation as a reliable delivery boy and had aspirations of starting his own delivery business someday. Seizing upon this information, Thomas used his influence to anonymously offer Marco a substantial grant to kickstart his business, with one condition. Marco had to enroll in a rigorous entrepreneurship program in a distant city. Eager to realize his dreams, Marco accepted the offer without hesitation, unaware of the true intentions behind it. As he committed himself to the program, Marco found himself completely cut off from Alina, unable to maintain their secret relationship. Meanwhile, Thomas used Marco's absence as an opportunity to rebuild his marriage, taking steps to address the issues that had driven Alina away. Months passed, and Marco returned to the city, ready to launch his business. However, he quickly discovered that the grant was a one-time offer, with no further support coming his way. Moreover, the market had become increasingly competitive in his absence, making it nearly impossible for a new business to survive without significant backing. Marco was forced to return to his job as a delivery boy, his dreams shattered. Alina, who had spent the time reflecting on her actions and working on her marriage, realized the importance of loyalty and the pain her choices had caused. When Marco attempted to reconnect, she firmly ended their affair, choosing to dedicate herself fully to her marriage. Thomas's revenge was not one of overt aggression or confrontation, but a calculated move to remove the temptation from his marriage, while also teaching Marco the value of respecting boundaries. Marco, on the other hand, learned a hard lesson about the consequences of his actions, understanding that some dreams come at too high a cost. In the end, Thomas and Alina's marriage emerged stronger from the ordeal, while Marco was left to reflect on the importance of integrity, both in business and personal life. The story of their intertwined lives served as a reminder of the complex web of consequences that follow every choice we make.